Greetings everyone and welcome to this insightful webinar on future-proofing agrochemicals in African agricultural sustainability. I am Rushda Zafar, your moderator for today. Africa's agriculture sector standing point where innovative agrochemical solutions must address the dual challenges of productivity and sustainability. Today, we are joined by distinguished experts who will share their insights and strategies to navigate this evolving landscape. Let's dive right into by introducing our esteemed panelists. So we have Makarand Sorte, Asia and Africa Director at EgyptChem International for Agrochemicals. We have Samir Pathare, CEO at Swaroop Agrochemical Industries. Evelyn Lusenaka, Director Stewardship at CropLife Africa Middle East. Then we have Abid Hussain, Marketing Manager at Methanol Chemical Company. We have Eric Kimunguyi, CEO at aak-GROW. Thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you.
First of all, I would like to ask Mr. Makarand, how is EgyptChem Agro leveraging innovative agrochemical solutions to enhance sustainability, particularly in the face of climate change? Over to you, Mr. Makarand.
Hi, good afternoon all. I hope everybody is doing good.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity and inviting me. When we look at the climate change, basically it's happening overall, but specifically when we talk of agrochemicals or in Africa, we as a company, EgyptChem, is addressing this climate change through a multifaceted approach we have taken. When we were strategizing our two steps. One was smart and the other was M&A, that is mergers wherever possible where technology. So through climate smart agriculture, we have worked on sustainability through precision. Now, when we talk of sustainability, it was about developing products, that optimize water usage and enhance the crop growth through our products. For example, I'll tell you that initially we were having a fungicide which was thymoxylin plus copper, and now we have developed another one which is dimethamol plus copper. So this new product is having a low dosage as well as the number of spray has been decreased by one spray. So that's how we are working on optimizing the water usage and giving a much better product to the market and the farmers to have a good. At the same time, we need to work on adaptation of these technologies to the farmers, for which we are working on building the local capacities, to with the distributors to educate the farmers on the new products, new technology, and how they can adapt it. Now, during this, what we have done is we have made some important mergers. For example, I'll tell you that we are just about to sign an agreement with a company called as Agro. It's a Polish company, which is a digital company which will give us satellite imagery data to us, through which we are developing an app which will be given to the farmers, through which they can exactly locate the infestation or wherever there is a deficiency in water or nutrients. So we are working on that actually. And once that is signed, I think it will add another feather in our cap, to work towards this climate change. Secondly, we have also been talking to Aero 360, which is a drone company in India, to adapt the spraying by drones. Now, when we are talking of spraying by drones, it has much better calibration. Water usage will be optimal. And secondly, to have products friendly to the drones, we are also developing some ULV products, because the droplets needs to have a certain density to be sprayed accurately. So this is how we are working on this, leveraging our technologies into this climate change.
Thank you so much, Mr. Makarand. It's fascinating to see how innovation can help mitigate the effect of climate change while maintaining agriculture productivity. Now, coming to our next panelist, Mr. Sameer. As Swaroop Agrochemical has a strong reputation for innovation in crop protection, what emerging trends do you see driving the future of agrochemical development in Africa's unique agricultural landscape? Over to you, Mr. Sameer.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity. Yeah, as you said, Africa agricultural landscape, it's characterized by, I can say that, very much diverse agroecological zones. And there are small holding farming capacity of the farmers. And of course, the issue of rapidly growing population. So in order to cater this, I think we have to look into certain emerging trends that are, coming up very rapidly. First and foremost, I can say is the biological solutions and sustainable agricultural practices. And for that, we should focus on the products like biostimulants, which are natural origin products and environmental friendly products also. And they can surely address the soil infertility and degradation of the soil that has happened so far. Along with that, there has to be a use of normal agricultural products. So we have to integrate the integrated pest management system and use biological control agents along with the traditional chemicals that we normally use. Another avenue is the use of macronutrients and the customized fertilization. So Africa, as we have seen that as all over the world, the soil is deficient in most of the key micronutrients, for example, zinc, boron, iron, etc. And so demand of this kind of tailor-made micronutrient formulations will be another avenue that can be looked at. And also development of site-specific nutrient management systems that can be used using soil testing and the precision agriculture technologies. Along with that, as Makarand said, the digitalization and the precision agriculture, that is another keyword now. And the use of drones, again, AI, and also IoT. So these will optimize the agrochemical application, reduce waste, and increase the yield efficiency, and also reducing the water or usage. So that is again one of the key factors nowadays. To help this, we can say that the governments are now falling in place in terms of policy and regulatory norms, because most of the governments are giving increasing support now for the registration of such kind of products like biostimulants. So that is going to help, and also working with NGOs for that matter. When we say that the new concept like biostimulants, there has to be a capacity building or the training or education of the farmers. That is again going to be a key area. So I think Africa's this agrochemical future will depend upon the collaborative approach, like balanced productivity, sustainability, and affordability, while addressing the unique climatic challenges that they have.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sameer, and I agree to what you said. And it's very encouraging to hear how cutting-edge trends are shaping the future of agrochemicals in Africa. Now, my next question is from Evelyn. As a leader in stewardship, can you please explain to us what stewardship is and how can regulatory frameworks and industry partnerships can help ensure that agrochemicals are used responsibly? Evelyn, over to you.
Thank you for your question. Sorry, I'm trying to put my video on. Sorry. So thank you very much for your question. As industry, we take stewardship very seriously. And just to explain to everybody else what stewardship is, it's the life cycle approach to managing pesticides from the time we manufacture pesticides, as industry, we need to take responsibility for the products that we're giving. So how does the pesticide move from manufacturer down to the user, who's the farmer? How are they managing it? Is it in a very responsible way? How are they able to deliver the pesticides? So that is what we involve under stewardship. And under stewardship is anchored under what we call the integrated pest management. And everything we do in stewardship is really anchored under integrated pest management. So looking at the regulatory frameworks and how they support stewardship, when any of our members under CropLife registers pesticides, the pesticides need to go through risk assessment. And at the end of the day, then the risk assessment process really determines how the pesticide is going to be, the process of registration, how it's going to be used, by who it's going to be used, and all that. It considers all the factors. And so when regulatory frameworks really help in terms of ensuring that the pesticides that are registered we are pesticides that are used by smallholder farmers and used in the correct way, considering the situation and the condition of the farmers that we are using. And it also considers risk mitigation measures, like what do we need to do to ensure that the right people are handling these products? Are they being handled by professionals? Are they being handled by people who have no protective equipment? Because this is a very important factor to consider. We also consider the pack size. We cannot, for example, give the farmers big pack size, small pack size. We need to consider all those conditions. So when we look at the regulatory framework, during the registration process, it supports stewardship by ensuring that they register products that can be used by the farmers in the most efficient and effective way, and also to ensure that we reduce any hazards that can be associated with the use of that product. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Evelyn. Now, your perspective underscores the importance of responsible practices and accountability across the value chain. So now I would like to ask Mr. Hussain. Mr. Hussain, methanol-based agrochemicals are gaining attention globally. Could you please share how these solutions are positioned to meet the growing demands for sustainable inputs in Africa's agricultural sector? Do we have Mr. Hussain here? Okay, I believe he's not.
He's unable to join because of some technical glitches from his end, so we can skip him for as of now. So if he joins, I'll let you know in the middle.
Okay, no problem. Now coming back to Mr. Eric, how do you see a regional cooperation among African nations fostering a unified approach to agrochemicals regulation? Over to you, Mr. Eric.
Thank you very much. One of the biggest issue or opportunity that lies for Africa is the harmonization, and that is the regional approach that we are talking about. We in Africa, first of all, let's look at the issues. What are the issues? You could see a clear fragmented Africa. Fragmented Africa in terms of climatic zones. I mean, we can talk of West Africa with diverse sets of crops. You can look at North Africa. You can look at Eastern Africa and Southern Africa, all diverse. Characteristics of farmers may remain the same, meaning that farmers behave the same way. They are fragmented farmers with smallholder farmers ranging from 2 to 3 hectares, growing different crops under different regulations. You could see also the impact of different regulatory regimes. So this complexity in regulatory regimes hinders the movement or access to inputs, and also access to inputs, and also access to for farmers to trade across the regions and within Africa. So what needs to happen is we need to have a regional approach to start with. But what we are looking for at the end of the day is the United Africa, a common Africa, that with common regulatory regimes that will make it access to attract investments, that will make access to optimize use of resources. And resources in this case, we are talking about a regulatory risk assessment process. My colleague Evelyn talked about risk assessment, and this it requires experts. So if we can have a unified experts, we can draw from. You can imagine one product registered in Morocco, and it can be accessed in South Africa or Somalia. That way, it accelerates and makes access to inputs very easily, and also make sure that we are protecting, we have similar standards for protection of the environment within the region. And I believe that's what Evelyn was talking about from the initial question regarding the delicate balance of our industry, managing the benefits of crop protection products vis-a-vis the footprints to the environment. So regionalization brings about simplicity. It brings about a common market, common standards that enables companies, enables farmers to access products or do cross-border trade within. It also brings about putting together, because we're all diverse in culture, we're all diverse in everything else. But if we have those regions and bring it together, we optimize use, we use the resources together, and also enables us to access the different markets. For example, if we are doing cotton market, in West Africa, we have cotton in Ethiopia, and we are going to export through the Agro, African Growth and Opportunity Market Access. It brings us an opportunity for us to consolidate African voice and really escalate our trade issues that will be barriers to trade. If we are talking about flowers, for example, or horticulture, the Eastern and Southern Africa fruits, it brings about that we can even raise our issues to the World Trade Organization, WTO, and we can consolidate also as Africa. So bringing together all these countries together into a regional approach, apart from making it easier for governments also to facilitate trade and also other partners to trade in, it also gives Africa voice. It also escalates our opportunity to access high quality markets globally. So it is not only on registration of products to enable farmers, but as a consequence of that, farmers are consolidated into a one voice that makes them access quality markets abroad, and eventually we have an African, or we have a region that is really trading on and also conserving or producing sustainably. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Eric. Indeed, regional cooperation certainly appears to be the promising avenue for harmonized progress. Now we have our speaker, Abid Hussain. Mr. Hussain, we welcome you to the webinar. Now my question to you is, methanol-based agrochemicals are gaining attention globally. So could you share how these solutions are positioned to meet the growing demands for sustainable inputs in Africa's agricultural sector? Over to you, Mr. Hussain. You need to turn on your mic.
Yeah, thank you for invest basically the products what can basically add to this agri business is that there is a formaldehyde. The downstream product of basically methanol is formaldehyde, and formaldehyde is the product, versatile product you can say, which is basically the part of agri business since long time. It goes in many applications in agrochemicals, herbicides and other pesticides and all those stuffs. And basically this product give another product which is called urea formaldehyde concentrate, which goes basically as an anti-caking agent in urea. And Africa is one of the leading basically continent now who are producing urea, mainly in Nigeria, like Dangote company and Indorama and other basically companies are also upcoming with urea plants in major urea plants in Nigeria. So we have one product which is called urea formaldehyde concentrate, which basically goes mainly in anti-caking. What is anti-caking actually in urea is that once you produce urea, the tendency of urea is basically it basically form the lumps, and when it will reach these lumps to the farmers, it will be difficult for them to dissolve in the water, or it will be very difficult to basically break, and then it will take extra time and labor. So to allow this not to form the coagulation or the lumping, we have the product which is urea formaldehyde concentrate, and it will not allow the basically caking of the urea. So it is one of the very good product, especially utilized by Dangote and Indorama and other chemical companies who are basically supplying their urea for long distances. So this is one of the product. As I mentioned, formaldehyde is one of the major product for herbicides and other agrochemicals. We have also methanol based downstream, which is in powder form, which is called paraformaldehyde, which also goes majorly in the in the basically agrochemicals. We have another product called dimethyl formamide. The major application basically is in pharma as a solvent, but it is very good solvent also for basically agrochemicals also. So there are many companies who basically who are innovative companies, not the basically traditional companies who use this dimethyl formamide. So we need the innovation in this industry to utilize the methanol based products actually. I hope I'm able to answer your question.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Hussain. It's fascinating to hear about the role methanol-based solutions can play in advancing sustainable farming. Now, I would like to come back to Mr. Makarand. Mr. Makarand, what role do you see for regulatory frameworks and partnerships in driving the adoption of sustainable agrochemical practices across African nations? Over to you, Mr. Makarand. Are you with us? Are you able to hear me, Mr. Makarand? I hope there is some technical glitch. Can you hear me, Mr. Makarand?
Rosda, I think we can move on to the next question. We'll continue once he's back.
Okay, so my next question is from Mr. Samir. Given the diversity of crops in climatic zone in Africa, how do you view the role of traditional agrochemical solution in boosting both productivity and sustainability? Mr. Samir.
Yeah, actually, traditional agrochemicals, when we say that, like the chemical fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides, and the usage is tremendous. And actually, they have, played a pivotal role everywhere in the world, in Africa, everywhere, in boosting the productivity. But now this role needs to be evolved with the balance, productivity, and sustainability effectively, because till then there was a huge or the major use of these chemical fertilizers and pesticides all over. But along with that, this usage has come some challenges, like this uh, why these inputs were used, because we want more crop yields. This traditional agrochemicals remains to be critical for addressing the nutrient deficiencies in soil and protecting crops. So it was a must for farmers to use these to enhance the crop yields. Also, there are in Africa, we see that there are small land holding for the farmers. So for them to use such kind of inputs and get more quick results in terms of yield or in terms of crop protection was easy. So that usage was more. Again, by supplying the essential nutrients, that is NPK, and the crop protection products. So they help narrow the yield gap. So when we use such kind of products, you get most of the yield that farmer is looking at. But again, there is a concern of soil degradation that I mentioned already. So by using this crop protection, we cannot avoid using these kind of vital chemical-based nutrients and pesticides and herbicides. But now we have to have a transition, I can say, that along with the usage of pesticides and chemical fertilizers, we have to transit towards the sustainable practices. And for that, again, we have to complement them with biostimulants, biofertilizers. So the use of chemicals is unavoidable, but we can see that how much more of these kind of natural products like biostimulants and biofertilizers we can use in our practices. And for that, again, there is a requirement of education. Regulation should be there, and they should be in favor of the companies that are working in natural products. And also, as as one of the speakers has mentioned, that the packaging should be also smarter now, small packages without any wastes. So such kind of things, if we do along with using chemical or traditional fertilizers and pesticides, of course, by transiting into more usage of biological chemicals can definitely help. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was great insights. Truly, the striking that balance between tradition and innovation is indeed essential for long-term sustainability. Now, I believe we have reached the end of this session. Driving the adoption of sustainable agrochemical practices across African
Sorry
nation.
for the technical glitch.
No problem.
Yeah, I think for the regulatory one, as Eric mentioned previously, the harmonization of the regions is really critical so that the industry or the companies can save time on registration on each country. For example, if the region is SADC, then they should have, a kind of system which if you register in one of the countries, then it is applicable for the whole SADC region. And then we can divide it according to the agroclimatic zones. I think that would help the industry. Secondly, the regulatory framework should work toward the agricultural departments of each country to have, more extension hand with the industry. They can educate the farmers on the safe usage of agrochemicals and, avoiding any kind of risk. So to educate more to the farmers, the regulatory framework and the support from the departments or the regulatory is really critical. That is what I feel about the regulation. And of course, all the stakeholders, right from the industry to the local communities, the farmers, CropLife bodies, such all should be involved for any kind of, policy making. So that is critical, what I feel. Thank you.
So that is a very powerful point about collaboration. Clearly, the partnerships and regulations are truly the key pillars in fostering the sustainable practices. Now, I would like to ask Evelyn, how has counterfeit pesticides impacted agricultural production in Africa, and what strategies do you recommend for increasing small holder access to genuine products, particularly in Africa? Over to you, Evelyn.
Okay, thank you very much, Rushda. So counterfeit in Africa is one of the biggest challenges that we have. And in some countries, we are looking at between 18 to 20%. In other countries, 40%. In other countries, even to 60%. So meaning that our farmers are not able to access genuine products. And counterfeit not only affects the farmers, it affects the industry. It also has an impact on food security. And so it has really impacted on most what we call production in general. And what we aim and everybody here wants to see is that the farmers are able to access genuine products that can be effective and solve the farmers' issues around pests and diseases. For us, as under CropLife Africa Middle East, one of the key components in terms of fighting counterfeit is to ensure that the farmer is aware that there is illegal and counterfeit products in the market. They need to understand the consequences of counterfeit products and buying counterfeit and using counterfeit. And how can they be able to identify counterfeit? Those are some of the strategies that we are working with the farmers. But in all, as an industry, we need to ensure that we have a clean supply chain, right from the manufacturers down to the distributor, down to the farmer. How is does the supply chain provide a chance for projects, programs are being supply chain are very important for us, making sure that the agro dealers, the distributors are well trained, they are accredited to ensure that they do not use counterfeit. And also the final one is working with regulatory bodies. One is to ensure that we support policy and regulatory frameworks to be more stringent where they get counterfeiters, and to be the penalties to be high, and also even the sentencing to be high. And in addition to that, training of law enforcement officers, because they might not understand the impact of counterfeit, training law enforcement officers, customs officers is also one of the issues that we aim for towards the fight around counterfeit. So just to answer your question, Roshda, that counterfeit is a big problem. We do not only address it with the farmer because the farm end, but we address it right from the time we manufacture these products throughout the supply chain to ensure then the farmer is able to access genuine products. So I don't know whether I've been able to answer the question, but that's what we're doing around counterfeit.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you so much, Evelyn, for your valuable insight. Now I would come to Mr. Abid. What marketing trends or consumer preferences are you observing that could actually influence how agrochemical companies develop and they promote their products in African markets? Over to you, Mr. Abid.
If we see the trends, Africa is basically the net importer of agrochemicals or fertilizers. So we need to basically we should develop. First of all, Africa is having basically rich in natural resources. So we should utilize the local resources to produce basically useful chemicals for the basically African continent for the world, and it should be less basically dependent on the imports, because as Evelyn said, they are facing the challenge for the fake products or those kind of products. So it can be basically minimize those kind of products if we basically improve the production of useful chemicals in agribusiness. And this agribusiness basically linked with a, you can say the health of the people, and it impacts directly the health of the everyone. Not only in Africa. If they are going to export the products produced in Africa, it is going to be used all over the world. So it is going to impact the whole world. So the trend basically, Africa is basically now you can say the next basically the investment hub in coming basically maybe few years. So in my view, the and the main basically the thing is that we need to feed 8 billion more than 8 billion people in the world, and Africa itself is having almost 1.5 billion or more than 1.5 billion people in the continent, which is counting around 19 to 20% of the population of the world. So it should be self sufficient in all kind of especially agriculture related products. So it can sustain its own basically, instead of importing from other countries. And most of the African countries are facing the dollar crisis. So at least they can save their own basically money, and it might improve this kind of crisis in future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abid. Now, my question is from Mr. Eric. What are the biggest challenges that agrochemicals or pest management association like yours foresee in balancing the need of productivity with the demands for environmental conservation in Africa? Over to you, Mr. Eric.
Eric, you need to unmute yourself.
Thank you. First of all, I want to be more particular with the plant protection products. And thanks for the question. When you look at Africa and most countries, they are all at different maturity levels when it comes to regulatory maturity levels. And that presents a challenge. And one of the challenges is that with all these skewed regulatory regimes, and that's why the previous question was very important, regionalization or harmonizing, having similar standards in Africa. And therefore, it creates an imbalance and provides certain hotspot countries, denies farmers opportunities to get products that are well risk assessed. Because of the different maturity levels, it lends itself also to infiltration of counterfeits, and it becomes a hotspot for counterfeits. In terms of, let's say, certain regions, of course, they are mature and they're using science-based decisions. and science-based decision regulatory system, particularly let me speak for Kenya, is the science. And therefore, science, the integrity of data becomes very important. And regulators use the data to make the balance, the decisions based on the risk assessment process to evaluate the risks and the benefits of these products. If they are put on the market, what are the likely risks and what will be the risk mitigation measures? When you look at those capabilities, it becomes a challenge for countries to meet the different data requirements for different countries. The ever-emerging environmental concerns people are talking about, some are new things coming to the world that you have to establish, and the data to generate data for human risk assessment, you can look at it, is quite voluminous, quite expensive, it's long-term, and it takes a while for companies to invest and get the required data information onto that market. When you look at the environmental concerns, carbon footprints, air, water quality, issues of biodiversity, issues of pollinator, issues of soil, non-target organisms, all those. So you have to demonstrate that particularly. And if you have how many countries in Africa with different regulatory, with the different data requirements, you can imagine the complexity of putting a plant protection product onto the market. So that's the challenge. Two, the ever-changing criteria, ever-changing preferences from issues of transparency and pressure from tasks, and lowering issues, for example, when you talk about food safety, maximum residue limits, or taking ships from what is commonly agreed codex maximum residue limits for food, if you have to achieve and access that market. You can imagine it provides quite a lot of complexities. Changing preferences, consumer demands that we need even more safer foods away from these set standards, that we want even lower limits. You can imagine if we have to generate that data every time, bring that complexity, and that brings about quite a lot of fragmentation, a lot of complexities in the movement of food. And it also erodes competitiveness. Particularly when if you produce food locally here and you cannot trade it outside the farms, your local farmers cannot access a high quality market. So we have quite a lot of challenges. We have quite a lot of specific country requirements on environmental protection and human safety, because some of them are enshrined in the constitution, like for example in Kenya, and therefore you have to meet even the basic standards for each and every country. Those are the challenges that will befall most of the plant protection products. And most importantly as well, climate change is really complicating the issues because things are changing, soil salinity is coming, and therefore providing new ecosystems that we have to investigate. We have to bring in, for example, biostimulants to help mitigate the risk of climate change and everything else. And now, biostimulants as well need to go through a regulatory framework. They need to be registered, and therefore all these complexities just to make sure that they really fit into the environment. Some decisions are globally made, but they're not locally considered. And sometimes you have to face it. And we find that all those kind of global decisions, when they are cascaded down regionally, impact them negatively because the situation in the local situation, particularly when you look at temperate and tropical climate conditions, are totally different. So when you make a global decisions or a global agreement, that is not committed, but it impacts on trade, and we have to follow, you find that certain regions will be excluded from getting the tools to manage pests, particularly if they are prone to climate change, particularly when the cycles of pests are East African region, when the cycles of pests is reducing by almost 50%, that you can even double the number of the pest population in a week's time. Here you don't have the right tools for you to use it. Also, because of that practice, the issues of resistance is becoming higher, and therefore sustainability in terms of use. So all these calls for sustainability are excellent. We are trying to work with that, and they provide a lot of complexity in terms of having one solution, particularly for the continent, particularly for the countries, regions, and therefore you have to, because which build upon cost and also delays the innovation process. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's a very thoughtful perspective, Eric. So addressing these challenges is very, very essential for a sustainable agricultural future. So this concludes our enlightening webinar. Thank you to all our esteemed panelists for sharing their invaluable insights. Today's discussion has enlightened the critical role of innovation, stewardship, and collaboration in shaping a sustainable agrochemical landscape in Africa. To our audience, thank you for joining us. Let's continue working together to ensure a productive and sustainable future for African agriculture. So, we are coming up for the 8th time with Africa's premium and truly international agriculture expo, where you can showcase your product, connect with big industry leaders worldwide, and expand your business opportunity. So, kindly do not forget to register yourself today at a flat discount of 10%. So we have a link in the comment box. So do not forget to, register through that link and get